Okay.
Okay, hi, we're live again. Right, sorry, we lost Vix. So we were up to saying we've got Vix with us tonight, and Vix, over to you to introduce yourself.
Yes, so I am the founder of a platform and community called The Practical Balance, which is all about helping female founders and freelancers manage their energy, kind of cultivate a bit of balance in their lives. So really, you have more energy for the things that matter to you, but also so that you're thriving in a way that means that your business can thrive as well.
Fantastic. So obviously I invited Vix here tonight because as female entrepreneurs and retail founders, you have a huge number of things to juggle, and keeping our energy levels high is obviously really crucial to being more effective. So Vix, I'll just start off by asking, what are some of the biggest energy drains specifically for entrepreneurs?
I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the early days, there's like a never-ending to-do list. And I think that often feels like it can be very daunting. And so sort of like juggling all those expectations. And you're also often like really on the edge of your comfort zone, which can be incredibly rewarding. And over time, you grow and all the rest of that's all great. But in the early stages, that can be, again, just this real energy driven. Everything you're doing feels new and feels difficult. Often we're more alone. So, a lot of people, I think, kind of into entrepreneurship, having had some kind of corporate job. And I think that shift into, working for yourself, so being completely responsible for the whole thing, puts a lot of pressure on people. But also suddenly all those easy social connections that you're used to having in the office suddenly disappear. So, you're working from home much more, like you're working on your own a lot more. And I think being alone can again be a real drain on our energy.
Does that depend whether or not you're more extrovert or introvert, or is that almost anybody can have that?
No, I think it applies for everybody. So I am an introvert, and I really do have to have like time on my own to recharge my batteries. But I really notice that I do. I miss being around people. I miss having people to collaborate with, to brainstorm with, and just to share the burden. Just to kind of remind yourself that, oh yeah, I'm not alone. Like the things that I'm going through are normal, and like they're part of the journey, and there are other people who are going through those too.
Sure. So you talked a bit about how, as entrepreneurs, we're often right at the edge of our comfort zone, so that can be a drain. Does mindset have an impact on that? I'm quite interested in mindset in general, and do you feel that is it more about what's happening to you or about how you're reacting to it, do you think?
No, I'm a big subscriber to the fact that it's kind of all about your thoughts. So a coach who I follow, who I adore, called Brooke Castillo.
Okay.
She has an incredible resource, a free resource you can get online. It's her Self-Coaching 101. And she really sort of breaks down, it's very similar to kind of cognitive behavioral therapy. So this idea that your thoughts create your feelings then create your actions, and then those go on to create your circumstances.
Right.
So I'm not saying that, circumstances do have a big role to play. I heard a Disabilities Right campaigner once say that no amount of positive thinking ever turned a set of stairs into a ramp, which I think is really good. But there is something about how we're perceiving the world. So just kind of cultivating a growth mindset. So
Right.
Most people have heard now of this idea of growth versus fixed mindset. So Carol Dweck's work, where if you believe that all the challenges that you're facing are learning opportunities, that you can cultivate and grow the skills that you need, that things like your intelligence aren't fixed, but if you work on, you can kind of develop these things, then I think that's really helpful. Having
educate yourself as well then.
Yeah, exactly. Having a sort of a positive and an optimistic mindset, so choosing to see the best in things,
Right.
really sort of help cultivate that by things like gratitude practices. I often suggest a really simple little thing at the end of every day when you log off for the day. We can talk about bedtimes a little bit if you want. When you log off for the day, is just take a couple of moments to think, what went well today? What am I proud of? Because we often, it's so easy to focus on all the things that we didn't do and everything that's still on the to-do list. And if anybody else's business is like mine, the to-do list never ever ends.
Yeah.
And it's so much better for your well-being to be like, oh yeah, no, did do all of this today. And you know what,
Right.
some of those days it's going to be, yeah, I looked after myself today. You know, I binged on Netflix and that's exactly what I needed.
What danger or what don't manage our energy levels?
So burnout, essentially, you know, and that can be, you know, something sort of more medicalized, and, you know, adrenal fatigue. It can mess with your menstrual cycle. I've got really into kind of our hormonal rhythms, both sort of day to day and over the month, and the stress hormones, so adrenaline and cortisol and things, in the wrong levels in the body can really affect your estrogen levels, and really fascinating. And, you know, and that if you have a build-up of estrogen in your body, that's often when people experience like PMT and bad skin and, you know, all of those things that none of us really want. And it's just, I really believe, especially in the early days of your business, you're it. You are the only asset.
Yeah.
So if you're not working as well as you could be, then the business isn't going to work as well as it could do. You know, and these things, it's a cliche. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but it's a cliche because it's true. You know, you really do have to pace yourself, because otherwise, you know, you're just going to, you know, physically and mentally collapse at some point.
And what are the, so if people are thinking to themselves, well, I don't know, I'm feeling a bit stressed, but I don't know, is it burnout, or, you know, are they kind of symptoms of burnout? And you talked about sort of the medical aspect, but are the kind of, what are the common, how can you tell if you're about, I suppose, you know, apart from, how can you tell the difference between being stressed and about to hit burnout, I suppose?
Yeah. Burnout is really hard to recognize in yourself. Most of the people that I've spoken to who've sort of been through a period of burnout have often needed somebody else to kind of point it out to them.
Right.
But you can, I can't quite remember the name of it. There is if you Google burnout assessment, there are some sort of properly recognized assessments that you can do. But for most people, it's going to be things like working really long hours, but not really being sure why you're working such long hours.
Okay.
Disengaged. So there's a difference, right, between wanting to work long hours because you've got a lot to do and you're really engaged with that work and it feels really productive, as opposed to this pressure of like, oh my God, I've just got to work, and, you know, I've got stuff to do. I'm really, really busy.
Right.
You know, I think we can all kind of recognize that in ourselves.
Yeah.
Feeling disengaged, like from your work, from your sense of purpose, from your values. Really hearing those kind of negative voices in your mind.
Right.
But it will vary from person to person. What I would say, if you think that you are suffering from burnout, then you need to speak to somebody. You know, go and see your doctor, a coach, a therapist, even, you know, just somebody at work. Yeah, it's really important if you think that that's what's going on for you. That the earlier that it's caught, the easier it is to look after yourself again.
Okay, well, let's turn to the positive then. So what are some of the practical tips that you would suggest for trying to keep our energy levels higher?
Yeah, so actually that's one thing that I kind of want to chat about, this idea that our energy levels should always be high.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I don't think that's true. I think if you look everywhere in nature, there are these cycles of ebb and flow. So you know, we have them day to day. We have day and we have night. We have winter and we have summer. These periods of like high activity and growth and energy in nature, complemented by periods of rest and recovery and restoring in nature. And we're no different. And I think one of the issues that I really see, particularly in entrepreneurs, is they want to be high all of the time because there's so much to do.
Right.
And you end up kind of wasting a lot of energy on resisting what your body wants to do naturally.
Right.
If you look at people's circadian rhythms, for example, so your sort of day-to-day hormone cycles, most people have like a natural high of kind of mood and performance around mid-morning.
Right.
Then it's like natural slump mid-afternoon that we all experience, right? And then a sort of a second high late afternoon, early evening. And the time will vary from person to person. But if you try and sit at your desk for 8-10 hours straight,
yeah,
like we're human beings. We're not computers. We're not designed to just be on like this all of the time. We do have these natural ebbs and flows. And I find if you can lean into those, and say, okay, yeah, I'm going through, it's post lunch. I find it hard to focus at this point of the day, and give yourself permission to rest, or to engage in like a task that doesn't require a lot of like mental energy. Then you might find that you're working fewer hours, but what you're getting out of those hours is so much more valuable. You can take 4 hours of work, and Darwin is a really great example of somebody who nobody's going to say that Darwin was not a successful man.
Right.
Kind of had a bit of an impact on the world, by most standards, right? He reportedly worked about 4 hours a day.
Okay.
He would get up in the morning and he would spend a couple of hours in his study on his books and things. He'd then take a break and kind of engage in some social correspondence. He'd often go walking for most of the afternoon, and then would come back and re-engage with work for a couple of hours in the evening.
Right.
So yeah, I think that would be like the big thing if I can tell everybody, especially as founders and entrepreneurs, because we have all this freedom. Nobody says that we have to work this really artificial Monday to Friday, 9 till 5 corporate life. And yet that's what most of us do. So you know what? Working afternoons, don't work afternoons. Like, work in the morning and work in the early evening. Like, that's absolutely fine.
So then your own natural rhythm and kind of work with that, rather than trying to subscribe to kind of a false structure that we would have to do in a corporate setting. Yeah,
and realize that that natural rhythm will change. So I think most people would agree that it's much easier to get up early in the summer, when it's light outside compared to the winter. So it might be that your rhythm changes subtly between the summer and the winter. It will also change according to your menstrual cycle.
Okay.
So if you're not on hormonal contraceptives, then your energy again fluctuates with the different levels of hormones throughout the month. With the sort of like the dip being around your period, and then the high kind of being around ovulation.
Right.
And then it will change according to the seasons of your life. So, if you're a new mum or you've got like small children at home, then like the amount of energy that you have, especially if you're a new mum, spent like 9 months growing a person who is still like 100% dependent on you for their sustenance. That takes a lot of energy. And then like the rest of it, it's all the stuff that we all know that we should be doing, 8 hours of quality sleep, going to bed by 10, because those hours between 10 and 2 are really important. So 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Okay.
Really, really important. And you can't make them up. So if you go to bed at 2 a.m. and sleep for 8 hours, you still don't get the benefits.
So it's got to be 10 till 2, that's your...
Yeah, that's really critical. And we also, sorry if I'm going into too much detail, I just find
this is fascinating, yeah.
Your metabolism increases at about 10 p.m. And it's as your body's like burning off all the kind of the junk in your system and clearing out your brain and things. Right. But it means if you're awake and like really active at that time of night, you basically get second wind. And I'm sure most of us experience this, right? You kind of like feel quite sleepy at 9 o'clock, and then you stay up, and by 11 you're like, okay, like, where's the party? I'm ready to go. Yeah. And then you can't go to sleep for hours. So it's really important that, you try to go to bed, or at least, be winding down by about 10 p.m.
Right.
No screens an hour before bedtime. You need to eat well and drink a lot of water and move your body every day. Like, it's all the stuff that we know that we should be doing. Yeah. But I appreciate, it's not easy to do it all. Otherwise, we would all be doing it all of the time. But it's those foundations. And so, if you want to do one thing, it's pick one thing, one small thing that you can commit to doing every day and start. So maybe it's, I'm going to drink more water, but be specific. I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water rather than 4, or I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to do 1 press up. Right. Just start really small.
I think I could do 1 press up. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. You have like the energy to try. And normally, if you do 1, then some days you'll feel like doing 10 or 20 or whatever. Yeah. Sometimes it'll just be 1. But what you're doing is you're starting to build up a commitment to yourself, a trust with yourself, that you do the things that you say that you do. And your body kind of trusts that, you're going to look after it. And then, you can then start kind of layering in these other habits.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake that people make is trying to do everything all at once.
Sure. I think that we've probably all done a bit of that. Just saying hi to everyone who's watching. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I think it's really interesting what you were saying, Vix, about honouring your own cycles, because I think what I find in myself is that when I'm tired and I'm a bit sort of flat, or I almost like, my first reaction is to kind of go, come on, you know, you can do this, push on through. And again, I think that's very much something that comes with where you're in a corporate environment. It's not really acceptable to have a fluctuation in your level of performance. You always have to perform at a certain level. And I certainly remember, you know, when I first went back to work after when my children were really little and they weren't sleeping through the night. And I remember just that kind of feeling of like, I've got to go to work, I've got to be up half the night, I've got to go to work, and I've got to perform as well, if not better than everybody else, because, you know, that's the expectation. So I think it's a really hard mindset to break when you move into working for yourself, is that you actually can give yourself permission. And that's something that I've definitely struggled with. You know, there are some days when you just think, you know what, I'm just, like you say it, like actually maybe watching Netflix would be everything that I'm capable of doing today, but maybe not, you know. I find it hard to give myself permission, I think.
It is really tough.
So true, that's why everyone is hooked on coffee.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's, you know, coffee's great, but what it does is it causes your adrenaline and cortisol levels to go up, which, you know, as I just said, then mess with these other hormones. And I'm not disparaging coffee, but, you know, you're disrupting the cycles even more. So I've definitely found that if I can lean into that discomfort and say, yeah, you know what, I just don't feel like doing it right now, and kind of going with that, what I often find is after about an hour or two, I get bored and I'm like, actually, now I feel like doing some work. Yeah. But if I try and push through, then I waste so much energy, and I just feel all that kind of like anger and frustration with myself, and I never get anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, so and I think we all have this issue about permission. So what I would invite everybody to do is do this for 1 week. Okay, do it as an experiment. So you're going to take 2 weeks, and 1 week you're going to do it the old way, and you're going to power through, and you're going to push through, and just, you know, just notice what's going on. You might want to keep a journal and kind of keep a record of how you're feeling throughout the day.
Right.
And then have a week where you try it this way, and you try and pay attention to your energy cycles and like, what is my body telling me? And, you know, you need to be honest with yourself. Like, is this actually, no, I need to rest and I just need to kind of give it a little bit of time, or actually am I procrastinating because there's something else going on here? But just like notice what happens.
I developed an addiction to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I'm going to like binge watch it on Netflix all day or something.
You know what? So like sometimes actually there's some really interesting research that I read that like breaking your own thought cycle is really hard. Like if you're ruminating and you're caught up in your own story, it's really hard to get out of that. Yeah. But a really effective way of doing that is engaging in somebody else's story. So watch a really good film, read a book, binge watch a bit of Netflix for a few hours. Like it actually helps you shift out of that thought process. So like it's really easy to say, oh, Netflix is terrible. I mean, clearly I'm not advocating you spend all day, every day binge watching Netflix. But you know, if that's what you need for half a day, then
take it.
Then go for it. And yeah, so experiment, see what works. If it doesn't work for you, that's absolutely fine. Like find the things that do work for you. Find the rhythms that do help you thrive.
Yeah. Okay, I've got just wanted to ask one question specifically for those of us in the group who are still working full time, but they are working on their business maybe on the side. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking, because I know you yourself juggle a lot of different hats.
Yeah.
So how do you manage your energy specifically when you're just, you know, you're building a business and working a job, and you know, are there any particular things, like, because obviously one of the things you said was about being an entrepreneur and having that freedom, but I suppose not all of us have that freedom, I guess is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I find that I have to be quite disciplined with myself, with my time.
Right.
So again, it's like back to building that trust with yourself. So having a framework for your time. Now, for me, with my portfolio career, that basically means I spend a week on kind of coaching and the practical balance, and then the next week is like a consultancy focused week.
Okay.
And there's flexibility around that, right? You know, I'm not in a position where I can kind of turn down consultancy work just because it's on the wrong day. I do try and hold that space. And so the moment where I've got like time booked out for coaching calls, even if I don't have clients there, then I'm focused on my coaching skills and, you know, developing like those kind of aspects.
Yeah.
So I find that time management really important. And then it's kind of thinking about big rocks. So I don't think you've come across this analogy. You've got to imagine that you've got like a big glass vase and lots of kind of different sized stones.
Yeah.
If you try and fill the vase with the small stones first, like they fill up halfway and then you can't get the big stones in.
Yeah.
Whereas you put the big stones in first, the little stuff just fills up around it.
Yeah.
So it's about finding like, what are your big rocks? Like, what are the things that are really important to you? You know, how much time do you want to be spending on your business? How much time do you want to be spending with your family? You know, what are your priorities?
Right.
Those go first, and then the rest of the space gets filled up with the rest of it. But you just also have to accept that. So I believe that women can do anything that they want to do.
Right.
We can't do as everything all at the same time.
Yeah.
There's a point where you have to say, like, there are only so many hours in the day, and you know, 8 hours of sleep, an hour for lunch, a bit of exercise, like those things are non-negotiable. And they're non-negotiable because if you don't do them, then the other 16 to 14 hours become less productive.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm going to choose between being productive and sleeping.
Right.
No, like not sleeping means like you're not productive.
Not productive, sure.
You know, so like you kind of, at some point you have to prioritize and you say, okay, like I can do 3 of the 4 things that I want to do. Right. So like, which are the most important for me? Yeah. Let me just think about like rest and work. It's something that, you know, a lot of women that I talk to, you know, feel very guilty about taking time off and taking time for themselves. And really encourage people to not think about work and rest as these like polar opposites where, you know, one is good and one is bad, but as kind of complementary partners. So if you imagine Mo Farah training for London Marathon, I read somewhere that he ran 200 miles a week in training, which is just insane. Like I try and run 180 miles a month. It's just insane how much he ran. Him and his team, and this is the same for any elite athlete, were spending nearly just as much time thinking about and optimizing his rest and recovery as he was out running. Right. Because you can imagine, right, if you don't rest and recover properly from like that amount of mileage, the dangers of injury and overtraining and underperformance on the day and all of the rest are really, really present. So for him, thinking about his nutrition, his sleep, his recovery, just as important as the work. And so I think entrepreneurs need to kind of get into the same kind of mindset that rest isn't the absence of work. It's like a really crucial component to being able to work well. And actually we need to work well in order to be able to rest well. We all know that when we're not engaged enough, you kind of get like lethargic. And you're kind of tired, but then actually somehow you still can't sleep. Right. You know, we need both. Like I say, you know, it's all about like the yin yang, day night, like whatever kind of like analogy you want to use. Like we are built for periods of activity and periods of recovery.
I like that a lot. So thinking about your performance, not just about the hours that you put in, but then also about things like your nutrition and your sleep. So basically optimizing your rest and your recovery in order to optimize your performance instead of just thinking about how can I work harder, work smarter. Because I know that you and I have talked about this before, but you know, there is that sort of slightly, I mean, dare we say, macho culture, or especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, where it talks a lot about you know, like Gary Vaynerchuk, who I actually, you know, I really like a lot of his stuff, but he talks a lot about, you know, because you work 16, 17 hours and you should get home from and then work till 2 a.m. Like he's very much like that. You give it everything you've got until you get where you want to go. And, you know, it's there's that view of it. And then there's the view of it that says kind of, well, no, actually, you're just going to, well, maybe some people, I don't know, is there anybody who can sustain that kind of thing? Or is that just kind of a bit of a myth, do you think?
I personally think it's a myth. I don't think the science backs it up at all. I mean, I'm not saying don't do your all. Just, you know, give that your all in those hours that you're focused on it.
Or give it your all by making sure that your rest is high quality and your nutrition's high quality and your leisure time is high quality, like that you're
exactly, and you have fun. I mean, like when fun has become negotiable in this, and it's the idea that you keep hustling until you get there, and then suddenly like life starts. I mean, it's just complete rubbish. If you're not enjoying the journey, and being an entrepreneur, at least in my experience, it's hard enough as it is. You're constantly putting yourself out there and risking failure and trying things that don't work, and like it's hard work. Like if you're not enjoying it, if you're not having fun around the edges as well, if you're not making time for fun and connection, whether that's with other people or I use the words kind of spirituality, but this sort of those things in life that make you fizz, that make you come alive. If you're not getting those, then is it worth it? And I don't think that I don't think people are going to be successful if you don't have those kind of like parts of your life as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Vix. It's been really good to talk to you and really fascinating. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. Does everyone have any questions? You can just type them into the comments box. Or if you've got any questions, you just leave them, then we'll come back and check it in a little bit. But
and we should do like a bit of a shout out. So you and I are going to do an in-person event, right?
Absolutely, yes, of course. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, and so in September we are going to have a Female Founders in Retail event. We're going to be live. Obviously, last week we had excellent talk about selling on an online marketplace, which was really great. And I hope everyone who came really enjoyed the opportunity to meet with other female founders. So this is going to be another in-person event in September. And Vix is going to be there, and we're going to have some hands-on practical activities to get you thinking about your energy levels and your balance in your life, and how you can enjoy the journey of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I really like my workshops to be very sort of practical, so people will get to practice some of the tools in the room, and you'll have like lots of things that you can take away and start kind of implementing straight away. So lots of little small things that you can start doing. So hopefully see some of you there in September.
Fantastic. And you're going to share a link as well for us. I'll pop that in I will put it in the message on the video, but if you want to just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I've always believed in like the power of journaling, but I've really struggled to kind of cultivate a journaling practice until very recently. So I've sort of really been enjoying that and really sort of feeling the benefits of journaling and reflecting. But one of the things I was really struggling with was like, I didn't know what to write about, which sounds really silly, but like when you first start. So what I've done is put together like a collection of journal prompts. So there's 30 in a calendar. So you can basically take them for the rest of the month. And the calendar means you can like cross them off each day. So you can start to build up a chain. It's a really good way of starting to develop a new habit. So a little freebie for you all. So you can sign up for that, and then you'll start getting some kind of newsletters and a few other little freebie bonuses if you sign up.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you all soon. See you in September.
Lovely to see you. Thank you.
Bye.